January 4th, 1945, 9 o'clock in the morning. The Third Army headquarters sits in a repurposed chateau outside Luxembourg, its walls barely holding back the biting winter chill. The radiators stand cold and silent. The only warmth in the room comes from a broad stone hearth where logs crackle and glow. Major General George S. Patton stands before the fire, rubbing his hands together. He's lauded as the victor of Bastonia, the battlefield master. But the man about to enter brings no congratulations. A major from the Inspector General's office steps forward, eyes flicking nervously around the room. He carries a heavy manila folder stamped Top Secret. Inside lie sworn affidavits, ballistic charts, and a roster of names. It's a dossier on an atrocity not committed by the Wehrmacht, but by American troops. The major clears his throat and lays the file on the oak desk. He expects orders to convene a court-martial. He expects justice. Patton swivels, glances at the folder, then back to the fire. He makes no move to open it. Instead, he strides over, snatches the papers, and tucks them into the blaze. The major stands frozen, disbelief warring with duty as the evidence of an American war crime curls into ash. In 10 seconds, Patton has chosen to bury a secret that will remain hidden for 7 decades. To grasp why a 4-star general would quash justice, imagine the Ardennes in winter 1944. It was the coldest season in 30 years. Temperatures plunged below zero, freezing rifle oil solid, turning skin black with frostbite. Yet the physical cold paled against the terror that gripped American lines. The Battle of the Bulge wasn't merely a German offensive. It was a plunge into primal chaos. Rumors spread through the foxholes like wildfire. English-speaking commandos under Otto Skorzeny, garbed in American uniforms, sneaking behind lines to slit throats. Every vehicle was stopped, every soldier interrogated. Paranoia became the primary weapon. A GI wrapping his frost-nipped toes in burlap near Bastonia trusted no stranger. The Geneva Convention felt like a distant fairy tale. In those grey woods, only one law prevailed: survival. The enemy wasn't just the Wehrmacht, it was the fanatical Waffen SS, ideological zealots who had shown no mercy. American troops nursed a combustible fury. They were exhausted, frozen, fed up with taking prisoners, and soon they would find a pretext to unleash it. Back home, the public clung to an uplifting narrative: Nazis as monstrous barbarians, American GIs as chivalrous liberators. We fought by the rules, they believed. We treated captives with respect. We were the world's moral compass. This myth was bolstered by chaplains reading last rites on battlefields and officers carrying spotless field manuals detailing the laws of war. Prisoners must be safeguarded, fed, housed. Executing a surrendered foe was murder, punishable by death. But in the trenches, the manual lay forgotten. Reality was blood, bayonets, and hatred. The illusion of moral superiority hung by a thread. Soldiers knew all it took to switch from battle to massacre was a lack of witnesses. High command believed they could unleash killing instincts at will and stop them just as easily. They were wrong. The switch was broken, and the illusion of a clean war was shattered by a single horrific event. December 17th, 1944. At a snowy crossroads near Moldy, Belgium, at exactly 12:30 p.m., a convoy of the 285th Field Artillery Observation Battalion blunders into the lead elements of Camp Gruppe Piper, a ruthless SS Panzer unit. The Americans, outgunned, surrender. Disarmed, they are herded into a field south of the junction. What follows is recorded in cold detail. SS troopers open fire with machine guns and pistols, turning snow to red sludge. In 10 minutes, 84 American POWs lie dead in the mud. Some shot point-blank in the head as they writhed on the ground. Others cut down before they could stand. A handful feigned death, their uniforms stiff with congealing blood. When night falls, they drag themselves into the woods and stagger back to friendly lines. Their story travels instantly by telegraph, whisper networks, and mess halls. Moldy. The word becomes a curse. It is not just a massacre, it's permission. Somewhere in the Third Army, an unspoken directive seeps down the ranks. SS are not soldiers. They are beasts, and beasts deserve no quarter. 2 weeks later, on January 1st, 1945, the 11th Armored Division pushes through the village of Chenoing, a few miles from Bastonia. Brutal house-to-house combat ends by afternoon, leaving dozens of German captives on the frozen ground. Among them, about 60 men of the Waffen-SS, their camouflage collar tabs unmistakable. Disarmed, they are marched into a snow-covered field behind the village. This is no chaotic firefight. This is calculated slaughter. An American machine gunner sets up his tripod in the mud, loads his belt with cold precision. Eyewitnesses later describe the order given and the roar of the gun. The 60 SS men fall in waves. Survivors are finished off by rifle fire. The snow blankets their bodies, but not the horror. This is the Chang Massacre, a cold-blooded revenge for Moldy, carried out by soldiers from Texas, Ohio, New York. The bureaucracy of the army churns on. Bodies can't stay hidden forever. On January 13, 1945, word reaches the rear. The Inspector General's office opens a full investigation. Within 48 hours, sworn statements from civilians, testimony from American officers, ballistic analyses fill the file. It names the 11th Armored Division, lists officers down the chain of command, and outlines charges that, under the Articles of War, demand death by hanging. If this goes to court, it won't merely be a trial, it will be propaganda gold for Joseph Goebbels. Americans are murderers. The dossier climbs the ladder of command until, on January 4th, it arrives on Patton's desk. In the stone-walled room, only the hearth's crackle disturbs the stillness. The Inspector General's major awaits an explosion. Orders for arrests, for prosecutions, for upholding the discipline that made Patton a legend. Instead, Patton picks up the heavy folder, glances at the top-secret stamp, then turns back to the fire. In a voice as cold as the Ardennes wind, he asks, "What is this about?" The major replies, trembling, "The killing of prisoners, sir, the 11th Armored." Patton nods once, slow and deliberate, then tosses the file into the flames. "There are no snipers in my army," he growls, "and I won't have my men prosecuted for shooting sons of expletive who killed our boys." The papers ignite, pages turning brown, then black, then ash. The evidence, the names, the witness accounts, all vanish into smoke. Patton stands, watching the last embers drift upward, daring anyone to object. The major, a man of rules, is paralyzed. To speak is to end his career. To stay silent is to betray justice. He snaps a stiff salute and leaves, closing the oak door softly behind him. In the hush, Patton's aide approaches the sideboard and pours a drink, hand trembling. In that room, the law lies smothered under a blanket of conspiracy. From now on, officers of the 11th Armored will face no arrest. No MPs will haul them away. They will return to their tanks, load their shells, and roll back into battle, carrying with them the knowledge that their general has their back. Why did Patton do it? He saw war as tribal survival. not legal dispute. He believed punishing the 11th Armored would crush its fighting spirit just as it headed back into the meat grinder. To him, the SS were animals, undeserving of protection. Erasing the Chang massacre was not a crime, it was command. He chose living Americans over abstract justice. The immediate result was savage efficiency. The division fought with reckless desperation, indifferent to surrendering Germans. But the moral toll ran deep. Boys who landed in Europe as liberators became executioners by presidential pardon. The stain of Chang never washed out. It only dug deeper into the unit's soul. History is written by victors. Malmedy became a marquee atrocity, prosecuted at Dachau. The SS commander, Jochen Peiper, was vilified. But Chang disappeared, relegated to hushed reunion anecdotes, never public record. No trials, no hangings. The 11th Armored went down in history as heroes of the Bulge, their war crime buried in Patton's fireplace. It established a dangerous precedent. If you win and your general wields power, murder can vanish with a flick of a match. Decades later, when archives opened and old soldiers spoke before dying, the truth emerged. The clean war had a filthy underside. Patton's blaze did not purify history, it merely concealed the cost. As you walk past the rows of white crosses in European cemeteries, remember that war is not a tidy contest of good versus evil. It is madness, where even noble men can commit monstrous acts. On that frigid January morning, Patton chose his men over the law. He saved them from the hangman, but he could not save them from their memories. The flames consumed the paperwork, but not the image of 60 men dying in the snow. George S. Patton remains a legendary warrior, yet on that day, he was also the man who held the lighter. If you'd like more stories like these, please like and subscribe.